I just want to give it up for my dear friend Michael.
Brick City. Brick City, what it do? First of all, I can't say how grateful I am to be here amongst these fine men. And Governor, when you add up their time that they did in the jailhouse, you got to tack on about at least another 25, 30 years. Because for the jail that I spent, I lived my life in. See, I'm the recovering addict on the up here, right? That's who I really am. Let me tell you who I really am, right? You know, because it's all nice for the accolades of what I do in my work, but that didn't earn me my seat here today. Let me say it that way, right? When I was on the wire, I was living on the streets of Newark, New Jersey, struggling in my addiction, right? That's who I really was, right? It wasn't until God blessed me to come through the doors of Christian Love Baptist Church, right here, in the streets of New Jersey, right, in Irvington, Essex County, excuse me, right here in Essex, right here in Irvington, right? And I got blessed to meet my brother, the Reverend Dr. Ronald B. Christian. See, I became a man on these streets, right? And that's how, and he called me one day, he says, Mike, meet me in church, meet me at church, right? He said, when Rev call, you come. I didn't know that I was going to be walking into a graduation for a rehab facility right here in Newark, and that's when Governor McGreevey and I first met, and we were on a panel together. We spoke together about reentry and recovery. But in regards to the panel that I listened to earlier, in regards to reentry and recovery and support for the addict, I have a few questions. As the recovering addict who has struggled in my addiction for about 25, 30 years, I asked, what took so long for this conversation to happen? And then the next question I have to ask is, what happened, what changed for it to happen, right? Thirdly is this medication that we speak of that the addict needs to have access to, how does that help the addict that's suffering from crack cocaine? Because I stopped past to tell you that the addict that suffers from crack cocaine is still roaming these streets of Newark, New Jersey, right? I stopped past to tell you that. I know that for a fact because I got high on these streets, right? So when we talk about, you know, it's not brain surgery from where I come from on the side of the table where I sit. When I came out of my first rehab, the only support that I was told to go to, I was 22, 23 years old. Oh, go make AA meetings because, see, they kicked me out, right? They kicked me out. They wanted me to commit to admit to something, an act that I did not do, and only me wanting God knows I didn't do it. So they tried to badger me to make me, to break my spirit, to make me admit to something I didn't do, and I wouldn't do it. So they kicked me out to the street. I didn't get to have my reentry process because the program was designed. And let me tell you how I got to that program, because there was nothing like this in the community. Thank God my mother knew somebody that could pull some strings downtown. That's how I got into Daytop Village, right? They kicked me out. They kicked me out. And when I came to the streets, all I had was the rooms of AA, right? And, you know, for a young man that was my age with the issues that I was struggling with, I did not. It was, you know, to keep coming, you know, it was good, the meetings, but I needed that wraparound support that you talk about. I needed that 30 years ago. So why is that still an issue? You know, so when you say that you know, that the wraparound is not brain surgery, my kids are still suffering from other things. The things that I suffer from, they're still out there. The addict is still out there. And there's no support for that addict that suffers from the crack cocaine, the stigma that's still on them. Right? All of a sudden now, it's the addict, the struggling addict. We got called crackheads. Right? Where's the release of that stigma? Right? So now all of a sudden, it's you know, I'm grateful that this conversation has happened. Make no mistake. Right? But we need to really be cognitive and conscious of the conversation and how the narrative is being shaped when we have these conversations. We talk about inclusivity. You feel me? All right, thank you. And I mean, I'm just grateful to be around these brothers. And, you know, I learned from y'all. I learned from y'all. You know, your time that you spent incarcerated, I look at that now as your education, right? So my nephew and I, we formed this foundation called Making Kids Win, right? And you already know, I don't have to beat you over the head. It's not rocket science. We ask for programming in our community like it's something special. It's just insulation. It's what the other neighborhoods have, right? How would your other kids act if they didn't have nothing, no outlets to plug in all that energy? They'd be bouncing up the walls just like my kids are, right? So we don't stop asking about programming like it's something special. Our kids need the same facilities and the same resources that the other communities need to thrive, right? So, and I'm gonna tell you something that the other side of the spectrum is, our men and women that are coming home from incarceration, there's a lot more like these men that have survived their education, their time in incarceration, and want to do good in the community. They need to be uplifted more. They need to be, their support they want to put back to the community needs to be translated into jobs. Jobs, people, right? Change agents need to be paid for their education and the time they serve in the incarceration system coming out as men, healthy, cognitive, wanting to do for their community. They need to be compensated for that, right? So we need to create jobs for our men and women that come home from jail that want to do in the community, because we all know what waits for them in society. Nathan, nothing, right? When you get the axe on your back. So Making Kids Win. We plan to take all the formerly incarcerated men and women that want to use their past and make it good, turn it into education and make it profitable for the next generation. We plan to employ them. Employ them. You think about that, we talk about programming and resources. We got a lot of men and women that have the experience already. We done been to school. I can tell you how to stay sober day at a time. I done been through school. These men can tell you how to survive through 20, 30 years of mass incarceration and come out on the other side and use that pay for good. We got all the knowledge you need right here. Right here. I'm done. Pardon me, but I love y'all.
And Governor.